Good. Okay, so I said yesterday we were going to do something a little more cerebral, a little more sedate, and I didn't want to completely abandon all the blood and guts and viscera that you've come to expect from my past couple of streams, doing all the FPS stuff that I've been doing lately. But I did want to slow the pace down a little bit, and I feel like this is a good mixture of the two. So we've got our nice tactical, strategic board game, for lack of a better term, with some good old-fashioned blood and guts thrown in for good measure. So let's go ahead and check this thing out, and I think the best thing for me to do, because it's actually not very long, is just kind of start out with the tutorial, because it'll only take me a few minutes to get through it, and that'll give people a chance to get into the channel, and also give me a chance to explain exactly what's going on with this game, so we can kill multiple birds with one RPG. Alright, so as you can see here, there's two different modes that you can get training on. Classic is, from what I understand, basically just straight up chess rules. So if you're already familiar with the game of chess and you just want to play this game in that vein, classic mode is what you're after. But if, like me, what attracts you to this game is the idea of layering additional rules and mechanics and other interesting bits onto the foundation of chess, then Regicide is what you're after. And so we're going to jump into that. Now, of course, for those of you in the know who are up on your vocabulary, Regicide is, of course, the act of killing a king, which, when you stop and think about it, is kind of what chess is all about. So kudos to them for that little wordplay. So I'm just going to kind of click through a lot of this tutorial stuff and explain it kind of in my own way and in my own pace, rather than reading you word for word what the tutorial's got going on. But basically what it boils down to is, you get your basic movement controls. You can kind of go to the edges of the screen. You can rotate the view with the middle mouse button. You can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. You can also use WASD on the keyboard, or Q and E keys to rotate the view as you see fit. Or if you've completely messed up the view and decide you'd rather have it go back to the way it normally is, you can hit backspace and it'll do just that. So once you've kind of mastered the camera controls, there's really not much else to do interface-wise except for clicking on things. Now, how the game basically plays out is the first phase of the game is very much like chess, wherein you pick a piece and you move that piece based on the rules of how that piece would normally be moved in a game of chess. So, for example, the Space Marine is playing the role of a pawn as far as a chess piece goes. So when I click on him, I can move him 1 or 2 spaces for his first move because, well, in chess, that's what pawns do. So we're going to go ahead and move him up 2 spaces, since that's our only opportunity to do that, and that's what the tutorial is telling us to do.
Forward to victory!
Now, here's where things get interesting. So basically, once you complete your movement, you have a pool of points down here in the lower right, which are your initiative points. And you can see right here we have 3 of 5 at the moment as far as this tutorial is concerned. And what that basically means is that after you take your physical move in a given turn, you can spend as many initiative points as you have to do special actions. And that's where things become very interesting and kind of deviate from the normal idea of what you think of when you think of a chess game. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at these player abilities, which can be applied to groups of pieces and aren't necessarily tied to any particular piece. One kind of neat thing about the way they design this interface is that if you've got certain player abilities that are kind of go-to ones that you use quite often, you can see, for example, here this one gives an armor buff to the targeted friendly unit, so that might be something you'd use fairly frequently. So you can actually click and drag that into this hotbar, and then you'll see when I close this interface, now that ability is right here in this quick slot. So if I wanted to, for example, cast that on this soldier, I can very quickly do that. And since you can customize that at will, you could make these slots have whatever you wanted in them. Notice also too, it doesn't point this out in the tutorial per se, but now that I've used that ability, it's kind of on a cooldown. So that's, I believe, 6 is how many turns will have to go by before I can use that ability again. So it's something to keep in mind whenever you're using these player abilities, and in fact the character-specific abilities as well. A lot of them have cooldowns associated with them, so you can't just spam them constantly. A lot of times abilities can only be used once in the same turn, and quite often the ability has to wait several turns before it can be used again. So you'll see some fairly powerful attacks that a lot of these characters have, but just keep in mind that they can't always use them all the time. So there are some kind of limits placed on that stuff to make it make sense from a game balance standpoint. So let's go ahead and select our unit here as we're being prompted to, and we can use this ability, which is called Snapshot, which I think most of the units in the game have this ability built into them. It's basically just their standard ranged attack. And as you can see here, there's a particular enemy they want us to target with that. So let's go ahead and do that.
Weapon ready.
And here's where you can see how this is not your dad's chess game. Because as soon as you make your move, you can start unleashing hellfire on things that are within your range, which completely changes the dynamic of how you play the game, right? You're not just singularly worried about positioning pieces to capture them in a traditional chess fashion. You also have to think about whether or not those pieces are in range of other pieces that they might be able to fire on or might take fire from. So that's kind of the crux of the wrinkle that's added to this game that makes it kind of special and unique and, well, for lack of a better term, cool. So let's go ahead and select this guy. At any time you can select your guys or the enemy's guys and get their stats. So you can see here I've done some pretty significant damage to this guy. He's at about half health right now, which you could make the assertion there that if I were to hit him with that attack again, that would probably be enough to kill him. So something to keep in mind is that you can constantly check the status of the pieces you're engaging with to see how your attacks are affecting them. So let's go ahead and look at protecting this guy a little bit, which is this other ability we're going to use. Notice we are down to our last initiative point, which means once we do this action, our turn is actually going to end. But what we're going to do is this go to ground ability, which will make us more durable or increase our toughness until the end of the next turn.
Seeking better ground.
And I believe that's going to do it for this turn.
Just the way I like this thing's just as dangerous up close.
So what the enemy did there is it used a special ability that it can only use when it's directly adjacent to the piece that it's attacking. I believe it's called Assault. Yeah, I believe that's correct. And what that basically let it do was do extra damage to us because it was in close proximity. Now, fortunately for us, we have another piece here which we can activate, which is actually playing the role of a bishop for the purposes of this game. And one thing, again, that the tutorial doesn't necessarily point out, but I will just for the sake of helping you folks out. Notice that in the lower left corner here, there's the image of your unit, and in the lower right corner of that image, it has a little indicator of the chess piece that unit represents. So if you're familiar with how bishops move in chess, you know that they move on a diagonal on whatever color they're on, as many squares as they want until they're obstructed. And so since this is a valid chess move to take this piece, we can do that. And basically what that means is this piece doesn't have to actually shoot at this piece with its special ability, it can simply make the normal chess move to capture it, which is what we're going to do here.
Destroy them! Their retreat is inevitable!
Oh, chunks. That is more chunks than you will see in any other chess game, I guarantee you that. Okay, so now we've disposed of that guy, which is cool. I believe we're going to finish off this guy that we started on last turn. Again, knowing that our attack does 3 damage to this guy, and knowing that he only has 3 health left, this is a pretty sure thing that we're actually going to finish him off. So basically what that means is that we've checkmated their king, basically, because the tutorial has set us up to do that. So as you can see here, our bishop character has a direct line to the enemy king, which basically means that they have no move that they can make that will let them escape, because even if the king were to move up here, they'd still be vulnerable, and pawns can't move backwards, so he's kind of out of luck. Basically, our bishop's going to mate his king next turn, no matter what he does. So all we really have to do is click continue here, and we're going to get to see some carnage. Nice try, buddy. Nice try. The orcs are displeased. They're very displeased about how that went down, but in fairness, the tutorial was kind of stacked against them. So there's that. But that, in a nutshell, is kind of what this game is all about. Now, as you can see on this summary screen here, again, it's indicating to you what chess piece each of these types of units represents. So again, if you're a little bit uncertain about what you're looking at, if you're familiar with chess, but not necessarily with Warhammer unit archetypes, there's always a reference between the unit you're seeing on screen and the chess piece that it represents, which is nice. And of course, I think in the actual final version of this game, again, keeping in mind that this is the first early access version that we're looking at, there will be cumulative XP that'll get applied based on victories, which I think it's actually suppressing that right now. And I believe that will help you whenever you're playing in campaign mode to like make your units more effective and such. My understanding is that there's actually going to be a fairly robust single-player campaign introduced into this game in 3 stages throughout the early access process. So I believe they're going to be rolling out like 20 single-player missions at a time that are going to represent the 3 phases or 3 acts of the campaign. And I'm definitely looking forward to that, because while it's cool to play these chess matches just for fun, having a little story wrapped around them or having a little bit of extra narrative kind of juice or mojo attached to all of these proceedings definitely is an attractive proposition for me. So I'm all for that. So having gone through the tutorial, I think we're ready to jump into a skirmish and play an actual full game of this. What do you say? Let's do that. So you actually have a fair number of customization options whenever you're setting up a skirmish. You can actually play orcs versus or marines versus marines, and they even give you I thought they gave you, yeah, they give you 2 different marine chapters to play with. So if you wanted to play marines versus marines, you can actually switch from the Blood Angels to the White Scars, so you can actually have red and white pieces on the board, which is kind of cool. Unfortunately, if you wanted to go orcs versus orcs, I believe there's only one orc faction to choose, so it might be a little more challenging to keep track of the pieces if you did play orcs versus orcs. But I think just for the sake of simplicity, let's just kind of go with the default settings, and I'll play here Blood Angels versus orcs. And let's keep it on novice difficulty for now. That should be pretty easy, but it'll also make it easier for me to comment on what I'm doing while we're playing. And I believe right now we can only pick the default sort of chess map orientation. I believe there are going to be some other options here. Like you noticed in the tutorial map that I just showed previously, there were certain squares that were like blocked off with lances and obstacles and that sort of thing. I think that's kind of what they're going for with the idea of having different board layouts. But for this initial early access version that they have available on Steam right now, it looks like this single board layout is all we're getting for now, which is fine, especially while we're just kind of learning the game. I think that makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and do that, and make sure we're on Regicide mode so we get all our fancy new gameplay mechanics, and let's get started. Okay, so again, for those of you who play a lot of chess, this is going to look very familiar to you. You know, you have basically your king and queen, your bishops, your knights, your rooks, and then your row of pawns out in front of each army, basically. And as I kind of demonstrated in the tutorial, the movement in this is kind of a two-stage affair, or the turns in this are kind of a two-stage affair. You're basically going to select a unit as you normally would in a game of chess. Again, we're selecting a pawn here so we can move 2 squares on our first movement if we so desire, which I do, because one thing about playing a game that adds ranged combat to chess is you want to get into the range of the enemies as quickly as possible so you can actually start damaging them. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to move this guy up, and then I could look at what my combat options are here. So I have right now 3 of these initiative points, so I could select this unit, and I could look at potentially doing this snapshot ability, and you see those are all the units that are in range of the snapshot and the percentage chance of hitting with that snapshot. So you notice I can't snapshot past anybody if like these pawns are in the way. I have to take them out before I can actually hit anything behind them. Now you may have noticed that this unit actually has another ability, which is go to ground, and another ability, which is frag grenade. Frag grenade is pretty cool because it basically lets you select a given unit and then it will do damage to all of the units that are around that unit. Now there is a pretty lengthy cooldown on this ability, so I actually kind of want to use it now so that it'll be ready again at some point in the not too distant future. So let's go ahead and do this to this kind of front line of the enemy here and see how that affects things.
Grenade!
They're not going to be happy about that. So what you'll notice is that when I select these enemies, a lot of them have taken damage, right? Like this guy's got 6 of 12 health remaining. This guy didn't take any. This guy took a little bit, 2 of 12. So you can see it's not a foregone conclusion how much damage each unit's going to take. That guy took 2. Looks like the king didn't take any, and the queen didn't take any. So we did a little damage there, probably more than we would have done had we just fired, and certainly more to this guy in the back row than we could have done had we just fired. So I think overall that was probably worthwhile. Now, I do have one more action point or initiative point left. So what I could do is just have this guy go to ground and defend himself. And I think that's probably going to be my best move because it looks like now that I've thrown that grenade, I don't have the option to fire. So it looks like I can only do one offensive move per turn with these pawns. So I'm going to just use this and have him go to ground so he's a bit better protected if they choose to retaliate against him.
Moving to cover! We got him now, boss! Oi, you! Eat this! Blast 'em! Oi, you! Eat this!
So as you can see, the enemy is within range of my pawn that I moved up, even from his starting position. So basically, that's something to keep in mind when planning your offense, is that any unit you move up to this row can be shot at by any pawns the enemy has that are within range. Now, they still only have so many initiative points per turn, so there's only so much shooting they can do. So in this case, he used his 3 initiative points to shoot here, and then from here to here, and here to here. So let's go ahead and look at our next move. I want to kind of... Let's see if we can get some guys out into play here. Let's go ahead and...
This shall be over soon.
Move this guy up 1. Oops.
We are pushing them back.
They don't want to just give him up to the chess move. Why is that?
Victory is within our grasp.
All right, hold on.
This shall be over soon. To victory.
There we go. That's what I was trying to do. I don't want to move him up 2 because then he can just be taken. But by moving to that point, now I can fire at him. Now notice the other thing is I threw the grenade with the other pawn, but this pawn still has to wait 3 turns before he can throw a grenade. So the grenade ability is something that's shared across all pawns. It's not like each pawn gets their own individual grenade on its own individual cooldown. So if that grenade ability seemed really overpowered, just keep in mind that it's not something you can use incredibly frequently. Let's go ahead and shoot this guy.
Firing on target.
And we definitely want to continue to damage these guys up front. So let's go ahead and select this guy. Have him bust a cap in this guy who's already damaged from the grenade.
Weapon ready.
Nice. So that nicely exposes the enemy king, which is good. That puts a little pressure on him. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Now let's see, can I reach... Let's see how's this guy doing on health. He's still got full health, so I haven't actually damaged him much at all, despite shooting at him. I think I definitely want to work on trying to soften him up some more if I can. Let's see if this guy can snapshot him and do some damage.
Open fire! Nowhere for him to run. Just the way I likes it. Dagger, dagger, dagger! Oi, you! Eat this! Blast them!
Okay, so again, focusing fire with his pawns as much as possible. Now this guy
We are pushing them back.
has been damaged. He's about a quarter of the way down on health, 6 of 8. But he's still in relatively good shape, so I'm not too worried about him at the moment. What I do want to look at doing, though, is setting up a move that might allow us to start capturing some of his pieces. And I think probably the most effective way to do that is probably going to be to get into a little pawn-on-pawn mayhem here. So let's go ahead and move this one up and kind of force the issue with this other pawn.
Forward to victory.
Because I kind of want to open up this side of the board a little bit. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. This guy. Actually, let's check something real quick before we do that. Let's just see. Now I cannot hit the king from where I stand with this guy, and he's a little bit more damaged. He's only got half health, so I definitely want to try to get a shot off on this guy. And I think his chance of hitting him is pretty good at 55, so let's try to do that.
Weapon ready.
Should soften him up a little bit. Let's see what that did, if anything. Nothing. Unfortunate. Alright, let's see if this guy can do better at point blank. Actually, at point blank range, he can use the assault ability, so let's go ahead and do that. See if we can soften him up.
Fall.
Let's see what that puts him at. Okay, that shaved him down a bit. 3 points of damage instead of the 2 I probably would have gotten normally. And let's go ahead and have this guy fire as well, I guess.
Open fire! We'll show them. They won't know what hit them.
So not an unexpected move there. It's pretty much what I was betting he was going to do. So he goes for the bishop. Pretty smart. Okay, so it's all pretty smart. Now the only real question is, do I want to bring my bishop out for the kill, or do I want to move the pawn out? I think I'm going to bring the bishop out for the kill for a couple of different reasons. One being I don't want to split these 2 pawns. I want this pawn to cover the other one. And also it gets the bishop out into play a bit quicker. Because he has no way that he can immediately rebuff my bishop, so let's go ahead and do that.
Destroy them. Their retreat is inevitable.
Also gives him sweet revenge for that pawn having the audacity to shoot him. Okay, and now, because I've moved the bishop up, most importantly, the bishop can now fire at things that were too far away for it to fire at before, which is the other big reason to move the more powerful piece up a bit. Let's see what I can do with him. He can go to ground. Let's go ahead and, let's see, take aim. Yeah. Okay, I don't think I'm ready to use any of these super special abilities with him yet. Let's just do a generic firing on this pawn and see if we can take it out.
Open fire!
Let's see what he's at now. I put him down to 8. I probably don't have enough juice with any of my remaining guys to take him out, but I can probably at least soften him up by shooting at him with these other guys. I also have only one more turn to wait for my next grenade volley, so that'll be cool.
Firing on target.
And let's see if this guy can finish, or at least move the job a little closer to completion.
Weapon ready. We got him now, boss.
That damaged him pretty good. You can see his health bar is pretty wrecked.
Blast him! Dagga, dagga, dagga! Oi, you! Eat this!
Okay, so that could have been worse. That definitely could have been worse. Let's see what my next move's gonna be here. So he moved that that pawn up, which is gonna free up his queen to move out. And I think that's the main thing that did for him. So that's something I'm going to have to keep an eye out for, is the subsequent move where he may bring the queen out. But I think for right now I don't have too much to worry about. I think what I probably want to do is set up a situation where I can get some other guys in play so that I can start to use pincing maneuvers to take out some of his units. So let's look at bringing some additional guys out into the field. I think what I'm going to do is move this knight out so that if I do need to make a castle, I'll have the path cleared to do that. So let's go ahead and bring our knight up into the mix and see what we can do as a result of that. And then that'll put the knight in a good position to help move in and back the bishop up in subsequent turns.
Ready to strike. The wisdom of the Codex is clear.
I like how the knights in this have jump jets. I think that's a very Warhammer-y kind of thing to do. I highly approve of that. So now let's see what we want to do with our 3 moves. And I guess we should probably start looking at some player abilities too. Let's see if we've got anything that really speaks to me in terms of something we'd want to spend these points on other than the standard character abilities. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, 50% chance to be pinned, that's cool. Okay, not too worried about that. Shielding our guys might be useful. Increasing the armor might be useful. I really don't feel like any of these are anything we really need to worry about, though. I am going to pull them down to the quick slots, just because then that way I won't have to come back in here to look at them again. That'll save a little time. Go ahead and do that. But I don't think we're actually going to activate any of these just yet. Let's get in a little deeper before we look at making that kind of move. So I think the main thing I probably want to do at this point is look at finishing off this pawn. So I think the best way to do that is probably going to be with the bishop. So let's go ahead and select him. Oh, actually, though, I could assault that other pawn because it's adjacent to me. That might actually be the better move to go with the bishop, honestly. Yeah, let's go ahead and assault that pawn that's adjacent to us.
Take that!
In the face. Alright, so he's pretty rocked right now. Now what that means is these two guys are going to have to do the heavy lifting on this other pawn, which may or may not be all that great. See what they can do.
Firing on target!
Ah, they got him. Nice. Very nice. Now what that means is that I can actually use this guy, and I can either... Well, it doesn't look like I have enough points. Yeah, I think I'm short on points to use the frag grenade, but I can do a regular attack, I think, unless I just screwed myself up there. Let's see. Yeah, no, here we go. Let's see. I can hit this guy that got assaulted. Let's see what we can do there.
Open fire! We'll show how orcs celebrate winning!
Uh-oh. What's this guy gonna do?
These runts don't know how to fight!
That was not a good move. That was not a good move, orcs. Because now I'm gonna take your rook, and all you did was take my pawn. That is not a good trade.
Blast 'em!
That is not a good trade. Let me show you the error of your ways. Because look what I'm about to do.
The enemy knows fear.
But I guess that's what you get when you play on novice difficulty. It makes dumb moves like that. Alright. So that's cool, we were able to move up. Let's see, can this rook, now that it's a little closer, shoot? No, it doesn't look like he can shoot, maybe because he took a piece this turn. He might not be able to shoot on a diagonal either because he's a rook. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Let's see, can the bishop finish this guy off? That's probably our first thing we want to do with our extra points. here, little guy. There you go. Why is that not working? Why can't I snapshot that? I feel like there's a little glitch in the UI here. Let me take a closer look here at the situation. So what I want to do is select this guy, have him snapshot this guy, but for some reason it's not letting me do that. Not sure why. I mean, I guess I should be assaulting him anyway, so maybe it's trying to tell me that there's a better move there, because I mean, really, that is what I should be doing. So maybe if you can assault, it won't even let you snapshot something that's adjacent to you, which is actually probably kind of smart on their part, because that really would have been a waste had I not assaulted him. So let's see, what's his life at this point? He's still got 8. I'm surprised, having assaulted him twice with that bishop, that pawn still has 8 life, but I guess that first attack or the second attack wasn't particularly effective. But that's neither here nor there, because it might be grenade time. Yeah, I think it might be grenade time. Let's toss this grenade in here again, shall we? Because how is that not fun?
Frag grenade deployed!
Who doesn't want to frag multiple units?
Dagga, dagga, dagga! Blast them! Oi, you! Eat this!
Ah, my pawn got took. That's not good. That's not good. It's gonna remove the backup that I was counting on for my bishop. That's okay though. That's okay. Now, under normal circumstances, I would have had that pawn take this pawn, because I can't have the bishop take the pawn, because the queen could then just take the bishop. But because of the nature of the game, and then being able to use those ranged attacks, they were actually able to kill the piece I would have used to make a traditional chess move. So what I'm going to have to do instead is actually move over here with the bishop and put their king in check, to kind of force them to protect it. And then I should still be able to fire or assault this pawn with said bishop, and hopefully get it a little closer to being dead. So let's go ahead and see about that. Now I'm going to give you one more chance to do this assault thing. Don't let me down, buddy. Wreck this guy's face.
Take that!
That got him pretty good. That got him pretty good. So he's down to 4. So a good shot from one of these other guys might be enough to finish him off. Let's see if this pawn can do the trick.
Weapon ready!
Nice. Alright, so that was good. That was good. Very good. And now I still have a move that I can make. Let's see if the knight here can lay some hurt on that other pawn from where he is. It looks like he has a chance at it anyway.
Weapon ready. We're gonna keep him on the run.
Okay, so he moves his knight in to protect.
Dagga, dagga, dagga.
Again, not a great move, because I can simply take the knight with the bishop and put his king right back in check. Like, he honestly probably would have been better off moving his king. But my bishop is getting pretty toasted here, so I do have to be at least a little bit conscious of that fact. I'm definitely going to take his knight, though. There's no reason not to do that. I like that move because he like looks like he's gonna get away, like by jetpacking away, and then the jetpack explodes. I like that a lot. That's a really well animated little sequence there. Okay, so I think what I want to do at this point is really just start pummeling the king. Um, I may also want to look at putting a shield on this bishop because the thing is, he's not going to take that many more shots, and being in such close proximity to these high-level pieces, they're going to be able to just wreck him. Um, so I think I need to at least consider the possibility of putting a shield on him. Let's see about that. I guess I don't have sufficient juice to actually do that. It's unfortunate. Oh no, there it is. Okay. So that should help protect him. That should protect him from whatever the first damage he receives is. And we still have um, two shots that we can make. So let's go ahead and continue to have the knight work on that pawn.
Executing.
And then I may just kill that pawn rather than attacking the king directly. I may just do that because he's only got 3 left, and I bet if I assault him with the bishop, that'll be enough to take him out.
You will fall.
Yeah, nice. Now I don't have to worry about him clogging up the middle.
Boss, we got to have a hand. Oi, you! Eat this! Ha! This should slow him down!
Okay, so I can definitely force the issue here a little bit, and I think what I'm gonna do... Well, I've got a few different moves I can make here. One of which is I can bring the rook into things and make this really interesting. Because then he'll have to sacrifice something to actually uh, get out of the position that he's in. I think that what I want to do is look at making a move that's gonna really tie him up nicely. Let me think about how I want to do this. So I have a pretty... he's got that bishop over there though, so that's not a good move for me. Alright. So the obvious thing that I could do is I could take his bishop and trade my bishop who's already wounded for it. But I'd rather not do that unless I have to. Because I kind of like the bishop holding down that part of the board and confounding him. I think what I'm going to do instead is move the knight up to protect my bishop and have the knight and the bishop um, just try to hurt his bishop.
Victory is within our grasp.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that.
Flee before us!
And now what I can do, once these guys are in here, start wrecking stuff.
When I hit you, you're dead!
How's he doing? I didn't get any penetration on that. That was unfortunate. Let's see if I can... it doesn't look like I can do anything while I'm shielded, so that's a good thing to know. Actually, that might not have been my best move. honestly, but live and learn. Looks like that pawn can't hit anything. Yeah, actually, I think that was maybe a bit of a mistake, but that's okay. That's all right. We'll have this guy go to ground.
Taking cover.
And let's see if there are any of these abilities I want to use. I think I might use this on the bishop.
We're flash gits, we are. Look at them run.
Oh man. Oh. Oh, the burning. The horrible. I probably should have just taken that piece in retrospect. But the good news is, because I moved the knight up, I can just take his bishop with it. So. Yeah, alright, let's fix that. And he'll also have to move his queen, or risk losing it to that knight. So, because the knight's not nearly damaged enough to have to worry about going down this turn. I think what I want to do in this particular circumstance, because I really don't have anybody else in range right now, is just focus on the knight. Let's go ahead and let him... oh, is this some grenade action? Oh, I think it's grenade time. It is definitely grenade time.
Throwing grenade!
Yeah, good times. Alright. And then I think we also want to have this guy hunker down. Oh man, that guy is really, really displeased.
This one, mine! Blast 'em!
Okay, so clearly he was very displeased about the way things have been going. I can't say I blame him, but unfortunately, he's gonna die. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Destroy them!
Alright. So let's see what else we want to do. Go ahead and bust a cap in their king.
Executing.
And let's go ahead and continue to protect this one.
Seeking better ground.
And I think that's about the extent of what we can do this round, honestly. We really don't have anything else in range that can hit. So we'll just go ahead and eat the rest of this turn, I think.
Nowhere for him to run. Just the way I likes it. Dagga, dagga, dagga.
I think this is going to be mate here.
This is my death gun.
As long as the knight can stay alive. I think we're going to get this. Yeah. Because I don't think there's any counter to that. Did I pick the wrong?
Hold the key to our victory.
Yeah, I moved my king instead of my queen. That was really dumb. That was really dumb. That's okay though. That's okay. We can still put him in check. We can still put him in check. That's fine. That's fine.
This battle shall be ours.
Mixed up my king and my queen there. so do have a bit of a problem here though, because I think this knight doesn't have much more juice left in him. Let's just go ahead and see how much more damage he can do.
Firing on target.
Let's see what we have that enemy king down to. 17 to 20. So he's not too damaged. So we definitely need to look at getting him on an actual chess move, if possible. Yeah. Now we're not actually damaged, so that's not going to help us, but we'll save that for next time. We do have line of sight here on the king, so let's see what kind of damage we can do.
Fall before me.
And I think we'll just have you go to ground.
Moving to cover. They ain't getting away from us. Oi, you! Eat this! Hold still! Dagga, dagga, dagga!
Okay. So that's totally fine. It's totally fine. It's going to force us to move our queen, but that's okay.
Faith is my shield. Fury
We'll
is
go
my
ahead and
sword.
put them here, I guess. Yeah, this is probably as good a spot as any.
My knowledge and powers guide us to victory.
Aren't you just full of yourself? And let's see if we can actually hit anything from here. Let's see what our... We've taken some damage too, so this might be a good time for a life suck. Let's see if we can life suck off the king. Yeah, there we go. That'd be cool.
Your life force empowers me.
Delicious life force. Alright. And then continue to bust a cap.
Weapon ready.
And
We got him now, boss.
okay, that life force took 2 points. That's good to know. Or that life drain took 2
Blast
points.
'em! Oi, you! Eat this! Ha ha ha! I'll gun you down, runt!
Okay, so our queen's definitely hurting. That's a bit of a problem. But now I can make the move that I was trying to make before, which is going to really force his hand. So what I can do is move here where the knight can cover the queen, which means he basically only has one move, which is to go here. And then that opens up some possibilities for me in terms of forcing him. And then I think as long as I can keep these guys alive, I shouldn't have too much trouble here. The only problem is I'm taking a lot of damage on my queen and kind of overusing it. I really should get some other characters in here or start taking out his characters. Like I probably, rather than being super aggressive here, I'd probably be better off just removing his pawn and putting him in check, because then I can take... I can set myself up to take another piece of his on the next turn. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
I fear nothing, for I am fear incarnate.
Alright. The one thing I wish this did, which it doesn't, is I wish it gave you the pop-up for what these things actually do. Let's see, that's a 2 point, 1 point. And let's see. I don't think the shield's going to be all that helpful. Yeah, I don't think any of these are going to be particularly helpful versus what I can do with just regular attacks. Let's see if I can do another life drain. No, I can only do that every couple of turns, so that's unfortunate. I think I need to just focus on putting as much damage on the king as I can while this character is still alive.
Burn.
What's that put him at? It takes him down to 13. That's good. Yeah, let's go ahead and rock him out a little bit more.
Firing on target.
And I think at this point, I really want to look at trying to preserve my queen. So I'm going to give them the protection this turn and let the knight die if they have to.
Cover.
Hopefully that'll be enough.
They don't stand a chance.
Okay, interesting move. Interesting move there.
Dagger, dagger, dagger. Eat this.
Okay, so my queen lived, but I'm still kind of hurting.
I hold the key to our victory.
I didn't actually take any damage though that turn, so that's really good. Unfortunately, I can't move into a square that's going to give me immediate coverage. But what I can do is take his pawn, put him in check again, and then if he does take my knight, I take his bishop, assuming that the queen's still alive. And I can still keep DPSing the king as I'm making these moves. Now the other thing I could do is I could move the rook up to put him in check, but he'd still be able to take the knight. I think what I'm going to do is just concentrate on taking out as many of his pieces as possible before my queen goes down. I think that's really got to be my focus here. So let's go ahead and do that.
Begone from this. We shall trample your brother into the dust.
Let's just wreck him as much as possible. Because I mean, I still have quite a bit of oomph here in my backfield that I'm not even using. I'm kind of relying really heavily on this knight-queen combo at the moment. Alright, let's go ahead and... we life drain yet? Nope, of course not. So we're gonna have to do this.
Fall before me.
And the knight's gonna go out in a blaze of glory with their assault.
You shall fall.
What does that take their king down to? Oh man, he's just about cooked. He's just about cooked. If anybody could actually reach him, they could finish him off. So I think regardless of what happens here, he's pretty much done. But let's go ahead and put our let's go ahead and put our bubble on our queen.
Seeking better ground. We're gonna stop him right.
He's definitely gonna take the knight. That makes sense. Oh, that guy's had better days. Guy has had better days.
Oi, you! Eat this! Time for some unfriendly fire.
Nice.
I can kill you from over here too.
All right. So I think what I need to do here is just go for the non-traditional win and just have the deeps from the rook take him out just for fun.
Make them no regret.
Let's move the rook into a checking position,
Always outnumbered.
but I think his attack should be sufficient just to take him out. So let's see if we can finish this off with a little style. Or I guess I could have the queen life suck him to death. What do you think, life suck or rook fire? Life suck or rook fire? Any votes? I think the queen can life suck right now. No, only one more turn. Or one more turn. Okay, we'll let the rook do it. The rook hasn't gotten enough action. Here we go.
Terminating.
Yeah, that's how you do that. And that is Regicide, by definition. Killing the king, making it happen. So delicious. So tasty. Your tears nourish me. Alright, so I think that was pretty cool. Let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, definitely time for another game. I think I will bump the difficulty up a notch just to make it a little more challenging. And maybe we'll go for some marine on marine action since we have the two different factions to show off. That might be interesting, seeing them, because the marines do behave a little differently than the orcs, so kind of marine versus marine should be a nice even match. Although I do think the different factions are pretty well balanced. It's just a question of preference and play style, I think, really. Let's go ahead and set up a little marine on marine action. I think we'll stick with the Blood Angels and let the AI play the other guys. Cool. And then we want to turn this up from novice to intermediate. Let's see how this thing plays at intermediate. Alright, look at all those marines just getting ready to duke it out. I guess for lore purposes we have to pretend like one of them's possessed or something. So the Blood Angels obviously are not possessed because they're too cool for that. So let's go ahead and
pushing them back.
Do our standard opening move and see how it reacts to that.
The enemy has few places left to run.
Give them the business. Because, well, why not?
Grenade!
Alright. And let's go ahead and go to cover.
Taking cover. To victory! Firing on target! Open fire!
Now I'm pretty sure he did that because he wants me to reveal the square in front of my king. So So that makes sense from a strategic standpoint. He's basically giving me that pawn, saying, "Here, go ahead and take that and leave your king open." That'll be cool, right? um, sure, I'll bite.
This shall be over soon. They fall before the defenses crumble, brother captain.
Let's go ahead and oblige them, shall we?
Firing on target.
And I think from here, about all we can do.
Better ground.
Yeah, I don't really have another move here unless I want to look at a potential universal buff, but I don't really think those buffs are going to do me much good at this stage in the game. Yeah, nothing there screams anything that I want to use. So.
Forward to victory! As you weaken, I grow stronger.
Kind of a waste there because, well, I guess they must have taken some damage from the grenade. That was probably the reason they did that. Alright, so let's look at setting some stuff up.
Faith is my shield, fury is my sword.
Very quotable.
Brothers, we have them now!
Nice. Okay, so yeah, that's what I just wanted to verify. That is my king and my queen. So that's good to... Or my... Yeah, king and my queen. That's good. Let's see what I'm going to do first here. I guess let's make things interesting. Kind of try to force their hand a little bit.
None shall survive.
See if this makes them nervous.
They cannot stand against us.
Let's go ahead and unload on him.
Weapon ready.
If you can help finish him. Finish him.
Weapon ready.
And let's see, who's hurt the most right now? Oh, let's see how badly hurt you are. Oh yeah, you're pretty wrecked. Yeah, let's just put your defense up. For a better use of that last point.
The enemy has few places left to run. Throwing grenade.
So here goes his grenade. Yeah, unsurprising.
Open fire.
Okay. Alright. Let's see, how do I want to play this? I could take his knight. I could trade my bishop for his knight, but that's not really a good move. At least not this early in the game. Now I could sneak in there between those pawns, actually, and put him in check, which might actually freak him out.
I hold the key to our victory.
It's yeah, I honestly can't see any reason not to do that, based on the lay of the land right now. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And then what that should allow us to do is a couple of things. Go ahead and hit you. Did that not take? I think that didn't take. Try that again. Sometimes the squares are a little touchy.
I strike you down.
There we go. And let's go ahead and... How's that pawn shaping up? He's still reasonably healthy. See if I can change that. Actually, let's go ahead and damage something a little more valuable than that pawn.
Firing on target.
The pawn's actually kind of helping my cause at the moment. Now this pawn, there's some different feelings about.
Open fire.
Whoa, what just happened there? Oh, did I just mate him? Did he seriously have nowhere to go to block that? Huh. I thought he had a move there. With it... I guess he didn't. It kind of messed up that cutscene though, but I guess that's early access for you. That's weird. I gotta look at the board, honestly. Here. Let me look at this. Okay, so... Okay, so yeah, there was me from that corner. He was checked. Yeah, I guess he really didn't have a move there now that I look at it. Man, I didn't even realize I was mating him there. That shows you how out of practice I am at chess. I thought he had an escape there, but I guess not. Huh. I'm sure that's a traditional chess opening of some sort that I just didn't recognize that I was even doing. That's funny. Well, that was quick. That was rather quick.